So good evening and welcome to the Medical Office Assistant Certificate Program information session. My name is Cindy Meisner and we're really happy to have you join us tonight as we give you more information on what is involved in the medical office assistant and a job and career as an MOA. So I'd like to introduce myself. I'm a program coordinator at Okanagan College. I've been working with the MOA program for 24 years, so I've seen a lot of changes with this program. And with me tonight, we have Christy Gels, who is also another program coordinator. And then we have one of our instructors and our main MOA instructor, Kelly Kamiri. So Kelly and I will be presenting tonight and providing as much information as we can. And I'll just pop up the agenda now. So what we're going to do is review the rewards of the MOA career. We're going to give you a program overview, and what that will entail is a bit of a review of each of the different courses that are in the certificate. And then we'll talk about employment opportunities and then next steps. And you'll be able to ask questions. You can ask throughout the presentation or you can save them to the end, whichever you choose. We do ask that you use the Q&A box. You'll see it with the two bubbles, Q&A, and you simply just type in your question and then we'll either answer it live or Christy will assist and type the answer while Kelly and I are presenting. You can also ask your question live if you want, so watch for details on that. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to ask Kelly to talk about the rewards of an MOA career because Kelly has a long history as being an MOA and an NUA.
Welcome, guys. Welcome, everybody, to the information session. So this is the perfect time to get into the MOA career just within the job market. So our job market has really opened up over the last 8 months or so. It's generally a very popular job market to begin with, but the job market employability is excellent right now for our students. So some of the rewards are for being a medical office assistant is being able to build your relationships with your patients, with your staff, with your team members, help people and provide compassionate care. You get to do interesting things. So you get to do clinical, you get to do administrative at the same time, work in a team environment during regular office hours. And then there's always opportunities to transfer, to advance, to try different practices and specialties. So those are some of the main rewards that draws students into our program.
Great, thank you, Kelly.
You're welcome.
So I'll just do a brief program overview. So our next intake of the Medical Office Assistant Certificate starts September 6th, and then it runs through to March 25th, and then you'll have a practicum after that. So it's a 90-hour practicum. Schedules vary. And so how your classes are set up, they are Tuesday and Thursday evenings. We set aside 6 to 9 p.m. for class times, and then Saturday mornings. Sometimes Saturdays go to 1 or 2 p.m., but 2 p.m. is the latest that a class may go till. And tuition for this program is $3,773. You're only required to buy one textbook at this point. We may recommend a transcription textbook further into the program, but initially for starting September 6th, you'll only need the one. So the delivery. So this program is only offered online, and it's a bit of a hybrid method. So what we do is we have live class with your instructor starting at 6 o'clock on Tuesdays and Thursdays. and then at 9 o'clock on Saturdays. And your classes will range from either an hour to 2 or 2.5 hours, depending on what the topic is, depending on what the activities are. So that is an opportunity for you to engage with your classmates and your instructor. And then you would have the rest of the time during the class to work on your own assignments, questions, and studying for exams. And then, of course, your practicum would be face-to-face at a clinic that we're able to arrange a placement at. And we have students from all over the province and even Alberta that have taken our program, and we have placed them at the closest location that we can find to where they reside. So all of that is definitely possible. Okay, so that's a bit of a program overview. Does anybody have any questions about that? We can always come back to it as we move through the presentation. So first I'll get Kelly to talk about MOA 101, medical terminology.
Okay, so in this course, you are going to learn all of your basics when it comes to your medical language. So this is where we're going to talk and learn about human anatomy, major body systems. You're going to learn your medical word structures. So we're kind of going back to the basics of learning a new language. So prefixes, suffixes, terms, and that is really the base for your entire career. So you are going to use this career throughout your career as we go along. And these are what we call your prerequisites. So these are courses that you need to know and able to go further into the program. So this is a big textbook. It's a big course, but it's something that is going to be used throughout your career. So that's what you're going to learn in your medical terminology.
Thanks, Kelly. And so this is the course that you require to have the textbook for, and you can either purchase that through the college and have it mailed to you, or you can purchase it online, however you wish to do. And so this is the main textbook that you would have to buy for the program at this point. Next up is MOA 102, pharmacology.
Yeah, so this is very similar to MOA med terminology, except this particular course focuses on the medication aspect of medicine. So we're going to learn how medicines work, their classifications, how we administer them, their different groups, and what areas of the body that we use the medications for. So this will help you in understanding when your doctor is writing prescriptions or when he's charting, then you'll understand what the medications are being used for. So this is very helpful, and you learn your medical abbreviations as well. And this is helpful for the doctor's office, or if you would like to pursue something in hospital later on in your career. So this is our computers and transcription course. And this is the course where I teach you how to use transcription. So you're going to listen to the audio, you're going to transcribe it into documents where you would learn how to make progress notes, histories and physicals, charting, all different kinds of areas of using your medical terminology and turning that into records, reports that we keep in our EMR records, sometimes that we use for insurance purposes and all kinds of different things. So this is where you're going to practice your typing skills and be able to create those documents. And this one, MOA 104, is what we call our medical office systems. And this is where I teach you how to use the EMR, so the electronic medical record. So in this course, you're going to learn to schedule patients into your clinic. You're going to learn the special coding that we use for office visits and for diagnostics. I'm going to teach you how to bill and do your claims management. And this is a hands-on course. So you actually get to use the software yourselves. You get to learn how to chart things in an EMR, how to schedule. A lot of students really enjoy this course because you really feel like you're learning how to do the job in this particular course, and you learn a lot from it. And this is something that you would be doing in the real world once you graduate as well. And then next is MOA 105. This is our medical office procedures. So even though we take this course online, we still use a clinical component. So we do our best to still teach you how the fundamentals work when it comes to universal precautions, common routines. So blood pressure, taking samples, how to handle samples safely, instruments, how to keep everything sterile while we're processing equipment that we're using in the medical office, as well as growth, weight, heights, temperatures, and so on. So you will get all of those foundations as well. And then we have our 106, which is our workplace communication. So this, it really helps you in creating communication skills. So this is where we talk about different strategies for difficult situations, diverse populations. We probably will do some resume building, talking about the things that are important to have on your resume, as well as affecting behavior as we work with patients and different team members and diversities. We talk about a lot of communications and how we handle such complex scenarios within a medical environment. And then everybody's favorite practicum. So this is where you are going to go out and practice all of your skills and get that job that you're looking for and having your experience, whether it be family medicine, walk-in, specialties, physiotherapy. We've really been lucky this year with having a lot of different types of clinics approach us. So anything from dermatology, we have diagnostic imaging, we've even have some oncology inquiries. So it's really growing for us as a college, and they are targeting our students, which is really, really nice to see. So you will have a lot of diversity when it comes to practicum and different types of practicum, which is really nice.
And I think it's important to note practicum is actually a work experience. So you're still a student. So it is unpaid. It is not a paid work experience. You're not an employee. So it's really important to point that out because that question seems to come up year after year.
Yes, that is correct. And then employment opportunities. So this is always the hot topic. Everybody wants to know where they can work after. So obviously medical offices. So if you want to do, like we talked about, family medicine, walk-in, urgent care, hospitals. So if you would like to hold kind of a scheduling position, a medical reception, admin, admitting is very interested in our students as well. And then we have our other specialties. So chiropractor, acupuncture, all kinds of different avenues, especially what we call community practice, where we have all different types of practices across the province, across your cities, and different little rural communities looking for MOAs for all kinds of different things. A lot of different things have been opening too, where they're looking for schedulers, they're looking for transcriptionists, they're looking for billers, and you will be able to do all of those things once you graduate.
Yes, and as Kelly mentioned, we get referrals from medical offices constantly, and we've always received them in the past, but definitely over the past 8 months, we seem to get them almost on a weekly basis. And it's from every type of office. So there's definitely a high demand for this career, and you basically could pick the type of office that you're going into. And we did have a good question from Sonia. She wondered whether or not we choose our practicum. So how we do that is a couple months out from practicum start dates, we have you complete a preference form. And so what that does is it tells us what areas you're interested, what type of office you want to go to. So then when Kelly is reviewing them and reviewing the offices that we've worked with in the past, then she can kind of align what your preferences are to what's available. So no, students aren't responsible for finding their practicums at all. We actually have to have agreements in place with all of our locations, and it takes a lot of work from an administrative side early on. So we try to do that as far in advance as we can. So we initiate that with asking you where you want to go, and we ask for other details as well at that time. All right. So what are the next steps? So your first step for those of you that haven't applied is you can go onto the Okanagan College website and click on the apply. You can look at the MOA certificate webpage, and there's a spot for you just to click on apply. It takes you to Education Planner for BC. That's where everybody in the province goes to apply for any program at any college. And the important thing to note is that this program is under the Faculty of Continuing Studies. So it's important to note that to make sure that you apply for the correct program. And then once you've sent in your application online, then there's admission requirements that you have to meet. And so if you're, you have to have your BC graduation or be a minimum of 19 years of age. You have to have your English 12 with a minimum of 60%. And you also have to provide a negative tuberculin test results no more than 6 months prior to the start date of the program. And then once you've met those admission requirements, you've sent them into Leslie, then she will send you an offer to enroll into the program. And then at that stage, you can pay your deposit, which is non-refundable $200 deposit, and then register for the program. So it's a fairly easy process, and Leslie can assist you with anything during that whole application admission requirement process. So I see we have a few questions, so maybe I'll go to those before I continue on. Erin asks, does the practicum have to be completed within a certain amount of time? So yes, you do have to complete the practicum within a certain amount of time. We want it to be a suitable schedule so that it doesn't take like 6 months or anything lengthy like that. We have had students that had to pause and do it like 2 or 3 months after when they initially should have started their practicum, and that's totally fine as long as we can match you with a placement site that's willing to wait for you for that time frame. So if we have advance notice, we can definitely make those arrangements, no problem. And can I take the online part first and postpone the practicum later, as I'm planning to BC next year? Yeah, you can postpone your practicum by up to 2 years, but you'd have to complete it within the 2 years after the program. So it is possible, but you may want to talk to Leslie about it and about the timing of that and see if that's going to work in your favor. All right. So we are at the question time of the presentation. And I think we've answered that one, so we're good. Are there any other questions? I'm just going to put Leslie's contact information up on the screen. So she's our program assistant for the medical office assistant program, and she can help you with any of the registration, application, admission requirements. And she also has the schedule if you're curious on the schedule. Normally we'll send out the schedule around the time that you accept your offer. So that should be going out in the next while. Yeah. Is there anything else you wanted to touch on, Kelly?
No, I think just, I know that students sometimes have questions related to hospital specifically. So if I take the MOA program, can I work in the hospital? That's generally a big question that we get. And the answer is yes. However, there is a difference between a medical office assistant and a health unit clerk. So that's just kind of something we like to touch on, is that when you're working in hospital as an MOA, in this particular course, you can work in admitting, you can work in diagnostics, you just wouldn't work on a ward, so a hospital ward. So that's kind of the difference. It's a little bit of a different technicality and it's different training, but you absolutely can work in the hospitals later on in more administrative type positions. And then of course in family medicine, in specialty medicine. So there are a lot of avenues where MOAs are able to work, and depending if you would like to be more clinical or more administrative. So there are all kinds of medical reception positions, administrative positions, like we were talking about before, where medical billers, working for the medical legal departments, for insurance companies. So it's not just a tunnel vision of one type of a career. There are many, many careers that can come out of this course, which is really nice.
Thanks, Kelly. That's great
Welcome.
to touch on that. Sonia's asking, is it possible to pay the fees at different times, not all at once? So once you get accepted into the program, it should give you more information about when the fees are due and confirm what the fees are. For this program, unfortunately, it doesn't qualify for any student loans of any kind. And you are required to pay the fees in full by the middle of August. So you can make payments up until that time, but all fees must be paid by the middle of August. And Jessica says, is there anything I can do to prepare for the course before the start date? That's awesome. That's a great question. I'll let Kelly take that one.
That's a great question. I think a lot of students are really excited, and definitely getting your hands on your medical terminology book as soon as possible is always a great start, because it is such a big course and it's your introductory course. It's a lot of information. So I would suggest, if you are interested in the program and you're interested in enrolling, being able to get your hands on that textbook and just having some time to go through it is very, very, very helpful. And then also just looking at the job ads, guys, look to see what's out there, look to see who's hiring, look to see what interests you and excites you. And that will really help you in determining maybe where you would prefer to do a practicum, or maybe it's something that you didn't really think of, and you could see what their duties, their responsibilities, what the pay scale is like. So do some of that investigating, and it really helps in determining kind of where you want to be in your career.
Excellent point.
And just one other that I think that we missed, guys. Darndeep has asked us, what if grade 12 was completed outside of Canada? So for grade 12 itself, as long as you're 19 years of age or older, then that's fine. For the English requirement, there's a list of accepted equivalencies or other options within the program site when you click on the grade 12 English option.
Awesome.
Christy, do you mind putting that just in the chat box so
Sure,
that
you bet.
people can find that easily? That'd be great. And Sonia's asking, does it happen that places where we do practicum end up offering a job? Excellent question.
Me and Cindy and I were actually just talking about this because we've just had 2 groups of MOAs finishing practicum in between 1 month of each other. And we were just talking about how the majority, almost all of our students have been offered jobs with either their placement or another manager that's heard that we have graduates. And really what we're kind of looking at right now are the only ones that have not actually accepted positions were from the students themselves. Either they had young children or were just looking for part-time or possibly are moving to another city. But like we were talking about, the job market is huge. We have clinics contacting us all the time for recent grads and in really, really good positions, you guys. So, you know, psychiatry, like we were talking about before, diagnostics, kind of services we haven't really had in a while or haven't had access to, are now hearing about our students and the reputation that our student has. And then we're able to get our students in there. So the job opportunity is huge and our students do get hired. Absolutely.
And Nardeep is asking, do we arrange practicums in Edmonton? And absolutely. I know in the past we've arranged for a couple placements in Alberta, different locations, and then we've also done one in Regina. So that's absolutely possible. Great question tonight. I really am enjoying these. Great. And Christy's posted in the chat the location for the English 12 alternatives, if that's something that you need to look at. Leslie can also assist you with that if that's something that you're not able to get to tonight and need to ask at a later time. So I see that we're at 7:30. We do have time for a few more questions if you like. Sonia is asking, how many students usually enroll in the program? That does vary. We have had a class as high as 24, and typically our class size is around 20. I know this past class that we've had was a little bit less. So it varies, but you'd never be in a class of 50 or anything like that. We only have one instructor per course, so we like to make it manageable for the instructor, but also effective for the students, so that when you're interacting and participating, that you get the full student experience. Is there any group work, Kelly? Do you assign any group work?
We do actually, and that's kind of I think when you're in an online environment, students automatically think we're not going to have the same experience, but believe it or not, we do. It's not that much different than being in a classroom because we all get to see each other, we all get to know each other. So sometimes I do put you in what's called a breakout room, where you'll either be in small groups or you'll be in partners, and there could be a project, there could be a topic, there could be a study group. A lot of our students like to do that. And one thing I do like to point out about the medical terminology, it does not matter if you are Canadian born English speaker, med terminology is not English. So it's Latin. So everybody feels the same way when you're learning the new language. So if you're nervous that you're not an English speaker or you were not educated in Canada, please do not worry. We all go through the same thing. It's a brand new language for everybody. So you're not going to feel, you know, that you don't know what the others know, because everybody feels the same way. So yes, absolutely. I'm a big believer in group work and getting you to bond and getting you to know each other and feel comfortable together. That is the whole point of team building.
Awesome. That's a great point about medical terminology.
Yes.
As well. Yes, medical, as Sonia said, is a huge chunk. Medical terminology is definitely the most challenging course that is in the MOA program. So that is definitely where you need to, right from the get-go, focus your energy and make sure you're keeping up with all the homework assignments and regular studying. and it will pay off in the end for sure.
Flashcards are your friend. We go right back to old school primary learning. Flashcards and memorization is going to be your friend for medical terminology.
Kelly, we've got one more question in the chat. What's the homework load like? So
You know,
hours
it
per
really
week?
depends. That is a good question. I would say the homework load for medical terminology is probably a little bit more, just getting used to the memorization. But normally in our classes, we're able to get the work done in our class time generally. So really homework load past medical terminology, I wouldn't say is very large because we do have sufficient class time. I would say maybe an hour. For medical terminology, it's always a little bit more just because of the information. So taking that time to memorize, especially if you have kids and husbands at home or you live with your family, you're going to want that quiet time. And sometimes it might take a little more than that, but definitely we don't want to see you bogged down with hours and hours of homework. No, not to worry. A lot of our students work and take our program at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Sonia's asking, what happens if we're unable to attend some of the live classes? Are they recorded? Is attendance taken into account?
It is. So we always look at attendance. However, it's flexible by instructor. You will have different instructors throughout your program. So you might have me for a couple of courses. You might have Amanda for a couple of courses, or one of our other instructor for a couple of courses. If you need to miss a class, we do generally record our classes, so you can go back and view them. And you can always reach out to us by email, you know, sending us a little bit a chat, and we'll let you know what you've missed or what you need to catch up on. So generally, if you reach out to us and let us know, attendance really doesn't seem to be too much of an issue for us, but having those classes recorded means that if you've missed a live class, you can still view it. So you haven't really lost after all, which is kind of nice. You just don't have that one-on-one in live moment time, but you could always schedule that with us as well.
And the important thing to keep in mind is your class may be from 6 to 9, but your instruction isn't that entire 3 hours.
Mm-hmm.
It's generally an hour to 2 hours, maybe a bit longer, depending on what the topic is. So it's in your interest to attend every class as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And especially during medical terminology and pharmacology, those are the two harder components. So you definitely want to do your best effort to be there at all times. I think these are the best questions I've ever had.
They are. They're really good questions. Absolutely. We were just talking yesterday, I'm teaching medical office systems right now to a group. And normally like Cindy was saying, our classes sometimes are an hour and a half, but we've been staying 2.5 hours just because they're so interested. The students are so interested. They want to make sure they're doing it right. And so some classes may run a little longer and some may run a little shorter. And then you have more class time to get that work done so you don't feel so overwhelmed or overloaded. So that's kind of the nice flexibility about that synchronous, asynchronous class.
Yes, that's great, Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we've come to the end of our questions. So as I said before, please reach out to Leslie. I put her email and her phone number in the chat box. Also, she will be the first person to contact you once you apply to the program, and she will help you with any questions that you may have. But I just wanted to thank you on behalf of Okanagan College for joining us. And we hope we've answered most of your questions to help you make your decision to join us in the fall. Have a good night, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.